are feeling a little bit bloated and tired and overfed and under-exercised, now is the time when you might start thinking about a detox diet.
Yeah, you know, one of those diets where you eat just boiled eggs for a month.
Or grapes.
Or cabbage.
Do they ever work, though? Here's what some of you told us about your diets.
1 year I cut out all carbohydrates, all milk products, so just basically it was vegetables and fruit and juice.
I went on an all grape diet where I ate grapes every single day for about a week, and the grape diet didn't work because I would get up in the middle of the night, I'd be so hungry, and I ate a whole loaf of bread.
No wine.
No wine. I've done it in the past. I managed about 36 days last year, but this year it's just not going to be possible, I think.
I have a friend who did a cabbage soup diet for a while, but it produced some smelly side effects, so I wouldn't try that.
Sounds horrific, the lengths that some people will go to. We've got nutritionist Amanda Ursel here, and also Geeta Sidhu Robb, who started up the Nosh Detox company. Welcome to you both. Happy New Year. Amanda, let's just start, because there is a theory, isn't there, behind detoxing, and it's not the same as going on a diet, is it?
Not really. I think really what you have to bear in mind with any of these things, like the lemon diet, detox, and which Beyonce has followed and things like that, is that anything that sounds too good to be true, sounds too good to be true, probably is too good to be true. So anything that says you're going to lose a stone in a month, your hair's going to look like Catherine Middleton's after a week, or you're going to lose all your cellulite, it just isn't going to happen, because you don't achieve those things through suddenly just cutting back all your food and just living on lemon juice, for example. And doing that actually tends to make you feel worse at the end of the day. So
Geeta, just this week, the British Liver Trust said giving up alcohol for January was pointless, as detoxes are medically futile.
Well, I completely disagree, because I think that if you eat really, really well and have a concentrated amount of nutrition taken up by your body over a 3, 4, 5 day period, it's 2 steps. First you purify, then you nutrify. And if you can do that for 4 or 5 days, you feel fantastic. Now, will it keep going if you then have 10 McDonald's? Not necessarily, but it's the perfect kickstart to make you feel better.
But why don't you just then eat healthily all the time and stop having to shock your body into detoxing? Because you can feel pretty terrible if you detox, can't you?
But isn't that interesting? What have you been eating to make you feel really, really so bad? It is such a great wake-up call, I think, particularly for our clients, where you sit down and you say, well, what have you been eating to make you feel so bad? And shouldn't you look at your overall diet and generally try and make it feel better? But in the interim, here's 5 days to make you feel utterly brilliant, and it's a great incentive to keep it up. And I think that really is, it's really important. I don't want to give up 1 French fry a day. I just don't. I'm going to lose an interest.
Amanda, do you agree with this idea of, remind me, purify, nutrify?
Purify, then nutrify.
Well, I think if you've had a heavy Christmas, which a lot of us have, we've eaten too much maybe and had a bit more to drink than we normally do, I think it's a good idea to take stock in the new year. It's a time when people do this. It's a psychological step that we take, a lot of us. But I think actually, for me, if as a nutritionist, I would say just try and think about the long term, take small steps, try and eat 5 fruit and veg a day. For a lot of people, that's a big step in itself. Try and switch to whole grain, and try and just cut out some of the detox, if you like, the junk, the cakes, the sweets, the biscuits, and do that for the long term. That for me is a really healthy way forward.
And it seems less extreme, Geeta, rather than channeling all the nutrients that you suggest perhaps in your diet and what you're selling, the detox, to shock the body. You should perhaps just level it out over a longer period of time. It sounds healthier.
Well, it does sound a bit weird to think you're going to get anti-sandwich shock, aren't you? I mean, you're not really going to shock the system by giving up bread or giving up dairy, which are actually the 2 top things you should do. To have the biggest effect in January, give up gluten, anything to do with bread, pasta and wheat, and give up dairy completely. And you will have the most fantastic effect. You feel better, your skin feels better, you look younger, and your hair glows, you feel fantastic.
But the first day of detox, I was just reading, when you've described it, is fine, but days 2 and 3, you can feel absolutely awful.
I employ a woman whose only job is to sit there and go, oh, I'm so sorry, how are you today? I mean, she literally just is there to give you sympathy and support, because it's such a hard thing to do, to change an entire life's practices.
Is it healthy to give your system such a jolt?
I absolutely wouldn't agree with giving up gluten or dairy unless you have a medical reason to do so. So I think I come back. Sorry, it sounds a bit boring.
Why do you disagree with that, though?
Because you risk actually reducing some of your nutrients. So if you give up dairy, a lot of people will do that without realising that they have to replace the calcium that they're losing. And if you give up gluten and there's no reason to do so, it can be expensive. It's difficult for the family. You know, you're suddenly cutting out bread, for example, and that affects the whole family. So, and pasta and things like that. And I just think they're quite drastic steps to take when actually what we're trying to achieve is a healthy, balanced diet over the long term. And I think trying to look at things with that have a longevity is a much simpler and safer way forward.
I think it's really important for you to understand that in fact you are not wedded to bread, and that calcium can be taken up from leafy green vegetables. And if you ate 60–70% of your diet raw, or if you ate salads and you ate things that actually look green and alive and crisp and fat, look at the pictures behind you, they taste gorgeous.
How many vegetables would you have to eat to replace the calcium you're not getting through dairy?
Well, you actually would just need 2 or 3 large servings of leafy green vegetables. I mean, I'm just lazy, so I blend them.
Is that right, Emily?
You'd need a little bit more than that. And I think that the thing is, it's not as absorbed as well as it is from dairy foods. But
well, you know, 78% of the country cannot absorb anything to do with dairy because they don't have the enzyme to take up dairy in their systems. So we come from 2 different schools of thought. I totally disagree, and I don't think you get protein from milk. I mean, you know, you get protein from peas, and you get protein from all kinds of different products that are healthier and a better way for you to live.
Amanda, let's give you the last word.
We'll have to agree to disagree here, I'm afraid. Healthy, balanced diet, I have to preach that mantra.
Okay,
right.
Well, Happy New Year to you both, whatever you're doing,
Thank you.
detoxing or dieting or eating healthily. Thank you both.
Thank you.